If you're someone who struggles with having noticeably visible pores after you apply your makeup, I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks that I do in my makeup routine every single day to make sure that my pores are as minimal as possible. So if you want to know all of my little tips, tricks, and secrets, keep on watching. So just jumping right into this, a lot of people like to prep their skin before makeup using a typical makeup primer. I personally do not use makeup primers when prepping my skin. I just actually use a moisturizer because I personally have found that whenever I use primers, it just interferes with my makeup too much and it limits the types of foundations that I can use based on the primer. Because tip number one is that you want to make sure more than anything that if you are using a primer to prep your skin, that it's compatible with the foundation you're using. So if you have a water-based foundation, you absolutely want to make sure that you're using a water-based primer. So this is how you can tell what the base of your product is. So when you look on the ingredients in your products, you'll see, I don't know if you can see, hopefully you can see on the ingredients list, the very first one is aqua, which is obviously water. So that means that this foundation is a water-based foundation, which means I want to use a water-based primer. If you use products that are not compatible, such as a water-based primer and an oil-based foundation, what do water and oil naturally do? They separate, which means it's going to separate on your skin, it's going to look patchy, it's going to slide off your skin, and it's just not going to look good. This is when you typically get that cakiness with your foundation, or it's just really patchy and runny, and we don't want that. So make sure if you are using a primer and foundation together that they are compatible.
Okay.
Now, like I said, I don't use primers because for me personally, I get much better results when I just use a moisturizer rather than a primer. So I'm going to start off by doing just that, and I'm going to use my Total Softy Gel Moisturizer from Morphe, and you're going to apply a generous amount all over your face. All right, next we're actually going to go in with some setting spray. I'm using a mattifying setting spray from Makeup Revolution, and you're just going to spray your face. And you're gonna let that set for about 30 seconds so it can really lock in the moisturizer that you just applied. Okay, so the next step is the critical step when we're applying our foundation to make sure that our pores are as small as possible. So we're gonna go in with a damp beauty sponge, and when I mean damp, I mean when you squeeze it, no water comes out whatsoever. That's perfect. If you have too much water in it, it's really gonna mess with the consistency of your foundation and the performance. So start off with applying the foundation onto the back of your hand, because if you go in right to your face with the foundation, like on your sponge, you're gonna over apply, and we don't want that. That's when you're really gonna get some cakiness. Now next, before we apply our foundation, we're taking that same setting spray that we just used a second ago, and I'm actually gonna spray the back of my hand a little bit, just so it kind of mixes in with the foundation. Then I'm taking my beauty sponge and really just kind of mixing it together a little bit, and then we'll start applying. Okay, so when you're applying your foundation, start in the areas such as your cheeks and your forehead, where you have the largest amount of space. That way you can blend your foundation in and out towards the areas that have less space. That way you make sure that you have an optimal blend. Now, if you're someone who has dry skin, you might want to go for a dewy foundation. If you're someone who has typically oily skin, go for something that's a bit more mattifying, just to kind of offset any of the issues that you might typically run into when it comes to your foundation. Okay, so as you can see already, there are hardly any noticeable pores, whereas before there were a lot. So we have one quick step left to make sure that our pores are absolutely invisible. So I'm going to take a little bit of translucent setting powder, and I'm going to dip into that with the same sponge that I just used to apply my foundation, and I want very, very little. So like even that's a bit too much. We just want a nice little dusting. So make sure that you target this on the areas where you can really see your pores, which is, for me obviously, and most people, right beside the nose. And you're just gonna stamp it in. We're not gonna bake, we're not gonna do anything crazy with it. We're just taking a very, very little bit, and we're really gonna press into those pores, set that foundation in place, and really make sure that nothing shows through. Now let me get all close to you guys, and with that, absolutely no pores are showing through whatsoever. My skin looks phenomenal, nothing at all. Like right here is typically where I have all of my visible pores, and there's literally nothing. Now, of course, things will always look a little bit different on camera than it does in person, but I assure you, even in person, it looks flawless. My skin literally looks porcelain. And again, you don't have to just apply the translucent powder right here. You can apply it anywhere that you have really noticeable pores, including on your nose. Just make sure that you're not using a ton, and make sure that you really, really press it in. Once you're happy with how everything looks, you can either move on to the rest of your makeup, like with your contouring and highlighting and all that, or you can just go on with your day, set it in place, and love your skin. But those are a few of my go-to makeup tricks to make sure that my pores are as invisible as possible. So I hope that you found this video helpful. Let me know if you use any of these tricks. Let me know if you're gonna try any of them out. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please make sure you give it a big thumbs up down below. Click that big red subscribe button so you can join my YouTube family. Turn on my video post notifications by clicking that bell icon and switching it to all. And I thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have the day you deserve.